For good or bad, we all have customer service stories. I'm Jamie Gorman, the host of Be Better at Business TV, and I'm here this morning with Steve Johnson. Steve's the managing partner of Uno Chicago Grill in Manassas, Virginia. We're going to be here swapping some customer service stories and talking about how you can be better at customer service. Good morning, Steve.
Morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
You know, I was just over at your restaurant on Wednesday. Tajay waited on me. The customer service there was great.
Super.
So as we look at customer service, you know, we all have these stories and we all kind of see the importance of it, but how have you been able to attribute good or bad customer service right down to the bottom line?
Well, you know, it's about hiring the right people to start with.
Okay.
You've got to make sure that you're hiring personality. You're not just hiring the talents of somebody that walks in and says they've been a server for eons, or they've been involved in customer service from a counter helper, or you know, at a department store where they've been, you know, selling clothes or those types of things. But you've got to look for the personality. You've got to look for the person that's got the smiles, that's got the energy level. And customer service is about wanting to be of service.
Okay.
You know, it's not about, you know, I can give good service, but do you truly want to be of service? Do you want to take the experience of that guest from just being an order taker to someone who is truly trying to help that guest through their experience there at the restaurant?
Okay. And so as you see that and you kind of bring these folks on, and you know, what do you see as the impact? How does that come in? Do you really see repeat business from it? How do you know, justify the time and the training you put into your customer service?
Well, you justify the time and the training because it's the only way you're going to stay alive.
Okay.
You know, people will excuse a bad meal on an occasional basis. They'll play it off that it was one of the chefs in the back that had an off day.
Right.
If they've been there before and the consistency's been there before. But bad service is something that just turns people off immediately.
Right.
You know, that's an individualized, this person gave me bad service. If this person gave me bad service, a lot of people are going to give me bad service.
Okay.
And opposed to the meal, it could be hit or miss. It could be just my taste buds. It could be the flavor profile. It could be a lot of different things. But service is generally, if you're not hitting the service mark, you're making some huge mistakes.
And I'm assuming you really see that in your repeat business, whether people come back or refer you from that perspective.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Repeat business is huge, and you can see it through the guest that walks in the door and says, I'd like to have Tajay wait on me today.
Right.
Or just what you just said, you know, earlier, somebody talking about somebody and they remember that person's name.
Right.
And we do a lot of things to help people remember our servers' names by writing it on the table and writing it on a napkin and placing it in front of you. And we don't want to be the next average restaurant. You know, everybody, when you walk in the door, is going to say, hi, welcome to wherever you're at.
Right.
And you can almost set your clock to the conversation that's going to happen to you from the guest at the front door to the time the server gets there, how they're going to introduce themselves, the whole 9 yards. We try to switch that up and go a different way with, at the end of when they finish talking to you about the menu or talking to you about something else. Oh, by the way, my name is Joe. By the way, my name is Mike, or it's Tajay. You know, I've got it here on the table so you'll remember.
Right, it makes it a little more memorable when you kind of talk about something else and then kind of give your name and reinforces it. And I'm assuming that, you know, certainly giving your name and doing that adds a level of personality to it and really
without a doubt
makes you connect.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity to use some personality with that, how they write it. You know, they would just block it out, or, you know, make some funny, you know, make a butterfly or something on it, depending upon what they want to do. It's pretty cool, you know, the aspect of that, and it does make a huge difference for recognition.
Right.
And it cuts out that, hey, you know, excuse me, miss, waitress, server, you know, those types of things. So it's pretty cool.
So how have you been able to set up, how do you measure your customer satisfaction? How do you kind of keep track of that? Are you able to do that with any degree of accuracy?
Yeah, we do it a couple different ways. Obviously, repeat business, and through guest recognition of the server coming in and them asking for the server as they come in, as far as that goes. We also look at it through, we get you know, customer reviews from the standpoint of where somebody writes in a comment letter.
Right.
We've got the, and obviously the complaint aspect of that also works, to where you might get a complaint, and we read into those complaints not just for what the complaint is, but, you know, are there some positives there? You know, that might have been that the hostess and at the server, you know, were great, but the food quality wasn't there, or the hostess was great, the food quality was great, but our server was just unattentive. You know, so you take those aspects and you go back and you try to work on those pieces and talk to them about it, and everybody has to understand it's a perceptual thing.
Yes.
It isn't just what they believe they might have done or didn't do, but it's the perception. They could have done everything in their mind right, but if the guest didn't perceive it that way, then it's a whole different issue.
Yeah. How do you address things like, I'm assuming there's some kind of equation for how many tables a server can wait on, and based on how busy. How do you kind of look at those types of things, and how does that affect on your customer service?
Well, you can tell, and we're going to talk a little bit later, I know, about the Zios that's on the table, but you can tell through customer feedback of when somebody was too busy.
Right.
Whether it was the attendee that dropped out, or if the kitchen was slowing down, or along those things. But the goal is, in our building, is for anybody never to have more than 4 tables during the heat of the battle.
Right.
So obviously you're playing the labor game with the financial piece of making sure that you're operating under a strong budget,
right,
and that you're maintaining equal value and equal cost as far as that goes. So during the it's a planning process, and you really have to look at the calendars of what's going on this week, what's going on this month, what do you got planned, and it's
a little bit of fortune telling in there.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Great weather can either drive them in because you've got the patio, or can drive them away because they decide they're going to eat at the park.
Yeah.
Good weather can drive them in, or bad weather can drive them in. It's really a it's really a roll of the dice and a fortune telling thing.
Yeah.
So you plan what you plan, and then you look at it and you say, okay, this is what I've got, and you try to give them enough room that they can expand if we have to.
Right.
And it's about being organized. It's about being creative with, that this person's able to handle a little bit more than maybe this person is. So as long as you don't overwhelm this person, then the ship stays right.
Right. So back into some personalities there.
Personalities and talents and abilities.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the weather thing, because of course I'm on the newsletter, and I think I'm actually on the Twitter feeds as well. And so I get the things coming across for snow days. You guys do specials and things on snow days.
Yep.
Nice weather. Hey, patios are open.
Yep.
That type of stuff. So it's good to see that kind of playing as well.
Yeah, yeah. You really got to play it by ear and hope for the best. And snow days are funny because, snow days you can be just absolutely overwhelmed, or it's just a morgue.
Yeah.
Because you're not sure.
I guess
you're
it
not sure
depends
what
on
it
how
is.
bad a snow day it is, right? If nobody can get out, it's probably more. If it's one of those ones where it's kind of in the morning, but then it clears up, probably people are out shopping and going to the movies and stuff like that.
And then what happens is all of a sudden you get extremely busy. You didn't have anything, so you plan on nothing, and then you get you get pounded.
Wow.
And sometimes it's it's the folks that just like, I'm not going to have cabin fever. I'm not going to get locked into having to stay home.
Yep.
So I get out and go.
Those people with four-wheel drive. Exactly.
Yep. Have no fears.
Well, Be Better Business TV is a live program, so we're broadcasting live, and that allows us to take questions from our audience, and they chat in those questions through through our chat room on our website. And so let's see if we have any questions. Alyssa?
How do you encourage wait staff to be their best, or is it up to the customers to give them incentive to your employees through tips?
I think the biggest thing is to get them to understand that they are in a tipped business, that service is not just, okay, because I waited on you, I'm going to get X number of dollars, or I'm going to get X% for what it is. It's about understanding that the more I can read this particular guest, the more I can help this particular guest find what they're after, changes the outcome, and the more I can make it personal. We talk about taking the guest experience, and what we mean about that is taking their order in a way that makes sense. You think about some concepts out there that, the first thing they ask you is, you ever been here before? And that's a poignant question. It isn't just to try to find out, are they return business? But it's to try to find out, how do I guide this experience? If they've not been here, I want to talk about the menu. I want to tell them a little bit more about what we have. I want to talk about the origination, that we are the originators of deep dish pizza in the United States and have been around for 70 years.
It kind of helps you figure out where you're at in the sales process, right?
Exactly. And if they ask about a particular beer, or they ask about what kind of beers do you have, an easier question becomes back to them, well, what kind of beer do you like? So that you can narrow that path. If they like craft beers, well, let me tell you about our 4 great craft beers. If they like a domestic, well, tell me about my 6 domestics that I have. If they like an import, let me tell you about that.
Right.
They like something on the bold side or something on the lighter side. Same thing with wine. You try to find out what their niche is, because you can run through a list of 12 dressings, and invariably, the first one that you mention is the one they ask, but you go through all 12.
That's right.
You know, oh, well, yeah, I like blue cheese.
Right.
Well, what's your favorite dressing? Well, blue cheese. Well, I've got that.
Yeah,
It eliminates a lot of that, you know, and
Right.
it makes the guests feel more comfortable that, wow, they're really trying to get to know me. They're
Right.
trying to understand what I'm after. So it makes a
Right.
huge difference.
And so, but you're able to incentivize, you know, as you go through your training, you know, there's all types of things, and you talked about just some of the process things that you teach them on how you approach customers. You use that to improve your customer service. You don't just count on the fact that you don't just say, hey, if you give good customer service, you'll get big tips. If you don't, you won't.
Oh, no,
Right? You
no.
can't count on that, just that tip aspect.
No,
of
we
things.
look at check average, we look at customer loyalty, we look at the ZOS scores of where things are at, and try to help them through that process. And we also try to teach them different techniques
Right.
to get them to understand that there's different little ways and different little things that you can do that will help impress the guests or help make your experience more memorable.
Great.
You know,
Great.
so.
Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what, we're out of time.
Wow.
I'd like to, I know it goes quick, right? I'd like to thank Steve Johnson, the managing partner for the Uno Chicago Grill here in Manassas, Virginia, for being our guest. Thank you, Steve.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
And you know, I know that Uno's, you do a lot for the community. I know you're the Prince William Chamber, and I know you have monthly specials and stuff. How about just taking a minute and sharing a little bit about what's going on this month with the community and also with the restaurant?
Well, let's see. You've got Casa's Retro Party that's coming up. We've
Okay.
got some things going
We had
out for that.
Charlene on the show a couple
Uh-huh.
weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
great. Mhm.
We're doing she'll have a silent auction or a raffle item for a personal chef to come out to your house, which would be me,
Nice.
for a group of 20. You can either do a barbecue, an hors d'oeuvre party that she'll be raffling off. I do that on a regular basis. I started seeing that as an opportunity. We're doing, I've got a catering job on Saturday for one of the local swim teams. We've got the chef tour coming up again for Prince William County, where
Okay.
the middle schools are putting, there's 16 middle schools coming in, and they're creating teams. They've been on teams all year long. That tour comes up the end of May, and myself and another gentleman down from Robert's, I'm sorry, Robert, I can't think of his restaurant, but he's got a restaurant in downtown Manassas, and the two of us
Oh.
last year were on that board as the two chefs.
Something cafe, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the two of us were on that board last year, and we're going to do it again this year.
Great.
So we're looking forward to that, and just constant things. Just every month something different, and we're engaged and involved.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because every time I talk to you, even when I go to the events at your restaurant, you know, you always start with kind of what's going on in the community before you talk about even the restaurant yourself. So I really appreciate that and what you do for them.
Yeah, well, you know, it says Uno on the front door, but we're a part of Prince William County and a part of Manassas, and
Great.
you know, that's where we want to be.
Good. Thanks again, Steve, for joining
You're
us.
welcome.
Well, thank you for joining us here today on Be Better Business TV. I'm the host, Jamie Gorman, and we hope that you got something valuable from today's show, and hope you'll join us in the future.